You're listening to EPN, the ePodcast Network.
Welcome to Enterprise Radio, the signature show of EPN, the Entrepreneur Podcast Network, your channel for exclusive interviews with entrepreneurs, small business owners, and some of the world's top executives who share business strategies and insights that can all help you build your business, leading to your business success. And now, broadcasting from anywhere between Brazil, South America to Los Angeles, California, it is your host, Eric Dye.
This is Eric Dye, and once again, welcome to Enterprise Radio, a part of EPN, the Entrepreneur Podcast Network. Today we are speaking with Michael Ginsberg, owner and lead designer at MG Web Design and Social Media, which is an agency that acts as a one-stop shop solution for small business owners to optimize their online presence using an effective website and smart use of social media. Mr. Ginsberg, welcome to Enterprise Radio.
Thanks, Eric. Pleasure being with you.
And you're more than welcome. So for starters, why does every small business owner need their own website and should never rely just on social media for their online presence?
Oh, that's a great question, Eric. Look, in this day and age, a lot of people think that they don't really need their own platform and their own place on the internet, and they can just rely on the various social media platforms. I mean, in my work, I come across quite often business owners who basically run their entire online presence through their Facebook page. And to me, they say, all right, well, that's easy for me. It's free. It took me 60 seconds to set it up. So why do I actually need my own website? And Facebook is actually a prime example of why you need to have your own website, because as you and your listeners are probably aware, a few years ago, last year or 2 years ago, Facebook started restricting organic reach for people. So basically, there are a lot of business owners out there who manage to have quite a large following on Facebook, a few thousand or maybe even tens of thousands of likes on their Facebook page, but it's really no good for them because they can't reach them. Okay, and the same thing is happening right now with Instagram, where people were able to see all your posts, and now Facebook, which owns Instagram, has introduced something similar in Instagram as well. So basically, the big lesson out of that is when you build your house on rented land, as I like to call that, you're basically bound by the rules of the landlord. So if you rely entirely on Facebook and Instagram or other social media platforms for your online presence, you don't know what the future holds. And in this day and age where your online presence is such an important aspect of your business, I don't think that any business owners, however small or large, can afford to just rely on rented land. When you have your own website, I like to call it, you have your own home on the internet. So you're no longer a renter, you're actually a homeowner, okay? And like with a home, you can paint the walls, you can renovate. So basically, once you have your own platform, you have entire control over the user experience of people who interact with you online. You can connect with them without following anyone else's rules. You're actually the one setting the rules. And that's why in this day and age where we have a lot of social media platforms, I would even say it's even more important, for people to have their own website than rely on social media.
Certainly some solid information right there. Thanks for that, Mr. Ginsberg. Now, what are the disadvantages with using free website platforms like Weebly, Wix, or Blogger, and what platform should business owners use instead?
Yeah. So, again, a lot of people, when they come to consider their website, they kind of say, okay, well, I can build, there's a lot of free platforms out there. You mentioned a few of them. There's a few others that basically allow me to build my own website without any help, without any prior knowledge, or really very, very easily. And quite often those websites look really, really good. I won't deny that. But again, the problem with those platforms is you actually don't control your content. Because all these platforms, the way they work, they give you the website software and the hosting bundled together, and you cannot separate them. So when you build your website on something like Weebly or Wix, or even Google Blogger, which is owned by Google, there are certain things that they will restrict you from doing. For example, recently Google introduced restrictions in Blogger where if you are a health blogger, for example, or if you talk about healthcare matters or promote healthcare products, you can't actually do that on Blogger now unless you're a qualified person, okay? So if you have if you have a blog about, say, autism or like vaccinations or any topics that are a bit controversial and you're not properly qualified, Google can actually shut you down. With Wix, for example, there was recently an incident where Google said we're actually going to de-index all the websites on Wix and not show them in the search results. The reason for that was that Wix was being used by quite a lot of spammers who used websites to either distribute malware or put questionable content out there. And because the platform because the website software and the hosting platforms cannot be separated, okay? If you have a few bad apples on a platform like Wix, and it becomes too bad for Google to pay attention to that, they will actually de-index your website as well, even though you haven't done anything wrong, okay? The third point is what happens if those platforms go out of business tomorrow? Now, Blogger is owned by Google, so that's not likely to happen, even though Google can choose to discontinue the service at any point. But, Weebly or Wix, which are not as big as Google, they can go out of business, or they can decide to change their business model and start, for example, putting ads on your website, which they get paid for. You don't get paid anything, and you have no control over. So in essence, it's very similar to social media. You run your website on a platform that you do not control. Okay, so you have no way of knowing what the future holds, and you have no way of being guaranteed to be able to do whatever you want on that platform.
Very, very interesting information, and I'm sure that this was also helpful to many tuning in as well. Now, what is the importance of having your website displayed well on various screen sizes and be optimized for people browsing on their mobile devices as well?
So there's a few aspects to that. So as your listeners who know now be aware, everyone has a smartphone these days. Not only even just in the developed world, but a lot of people in the developing world are now coming online for the first time, and most of them are doing it solely from their mobile phones, from their smartphones, simply because there is really no infrastructure for fixed broadband in a lot of these countries, and the only way to access the internet is through a smartphone. Now, in the developed world, we already have data that says that more people access the internet from mobile devices, be it smartphones or tablets, than from a desktop. And this trend is only going to continue. I mean, some people even announcing the death of the desktop. So it's actually more likely that a person would come across your website on a mobile device than on a desktop. So if your website is not optimized for mobile, okay, and that person visits your website and they have to start zooming in and out, or some aspects of your website simply don't work because they're not suited for a mobile device or for a mobile browser, those people will leave. Okay, that's pretty bad as it is. But the biggest issue is that mid last year, so around, I believe, May 2015, Google announced that they will actually give very high preference to websites that are mobile optimized when people search for things from their mobile. So whenever you search for something on your mobile phone, okay, Google will only show, now they actually said that they will only show the websites that are optimized for mobile devices. Now the reason for that, the reason why Google does that is because they want their users to have a good user experience. So if you search for something on your mobile phone, okay, and Google gives you results of a website that is not optimized for a mobile device, and you come to the website and you have to start scrolling around, zooming in and out, you're not going to have a very good user experience, okay? And you might not use Google in the future to search for things, or you might just go back to Google and start scrolling through the other results. So Google doesn't want that. So now it is actually absolutely crucial, to have a mobile optimized website. I actually tell my clients, if your website is not optimized for mobile right now, you might as well not have a website. You're just wasting your money paying for hosting. There's no point of having one. It's actually better to shut it down, because most of your traffic would come from mobile devices and not from desktop. And if your website is not optimized for mobile, it won't even come up. Okay? So now, basically a mobile website, a mobile optimized website has now moved from the nice to have to the must have since Google has made this change. And people say that it's actually one of the biggest changes to the algorithm in recent years, maybe even ever. I mean, it's called Mobilegeddon. I mean, I think that kind of tells you the story. A lot of people dubbed it as Mobilegeddon. So yeah, now it's basically about providing people a good user experience and obviously keeping the Google God happy. So very, very important now.
It certainly is. Today we're joined by Mr. Michael Ginsberg, owner and lead designer at MG Web Design and Social Media here on Enterprise Radio today, a part of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network. You can also follow the show on Twitter at ePodcast Network, and we are also streaming on demand 24/7 on TuneIn Radio and the TuneIn Radio app for your listening convenience. Now, is having an email database still important in this day and age of social media, and if so, why?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people now say, oh, why do I need email? Nobody uses email anywhere. Everyone is on Snapchat and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Why do I need to have an email database? So for a lot of people, email data, especially if their target audience is maybe a younger audience or things like that, they think, oh, it's old school. Why do I need that? So again, an email database is like a website, is an asset that you control 100%. Once people have given you their email address, okay, you can contact those people at any time, okay, without intermediaries. You can contact them directly for as long as they're happy to keep hearing from you. You can contact them directly and be guaranteed, okay, that they will see your email, okay? Whether they choose to open it or not, that's up to them, but your message will reach them, which is something that no other social media platform or really any other platform can guarantee you. Okay, so you might have 10,000 followers on Facebook, okay, but when you post something, unless you pay Facebook, in all likelihood, maybe 1 or 2% will see it, okay? Whereas if you have an email database of 10,000 people, if you send an email to those 10,000 people, you're guaranteed, okay, that message will reach those 10,000 people, all of them. Now, whether they choose to open it, whether they choose to take action on that, that's obviously up to them. But no one else, no other platform can offer you that level of reach, essentially a 100% reach for free, okay, without having to pay anyone. All you have to do is get those people to agree to give you their email address. So like your website, an email database is an asset that you control 100%, essentially that you own. Okay, and as long as you keep providing value to the people on your email database, they will be happy to keep hearing from you, and you'll be able to reach them.
Lastly, what features should every website have in 2016 to be effective? I'm looking forward to hearing your take on this.
Sure. So, I mean, the most important one I've already mentioned, and that's being optimized for mobile devices. Now, the way you achieve that, the best way to achieve that is what's called a responsive design. So the idea with a responsive design is that your website will automatically adjust itself to the screen size of the person visiting it. So you don't have to create, in the past, you had to create a separate version of your website for mobile devices and a separate version of your website for desktop. Now, really, you don't have to do that. Basically, if you have your website with a responsive design, it will adjust itself automatically and you don't even have to think about it. So basically, it will cater to everyone, okay? And that makes your life a whole lot easier because you don't have to maintain two versions of your website. You don't have to update content at two places, et cetera, et cetera. The other feature, and that's obviously more relevant for businesses that have a physical location, is the location map. Okay, so a lot of businesses I see, they show their address on their website, obviously in the contact us page or something like that, and that's great. Okay, but if the person doesn't know off the top of their head where that place is, they have to go to Google or to Google Maps and put the address and start looking where you are and all that sort of stuff. They're just like, people are busy these days, okay? You need to understand that like people who come on to your website, they make a decision in a split second whether they want to work with you or not, whether they want to more about you or not. So instead of just having your street address, actually put a map, a location map, okay, which is very easy to do nowadays, showing where you are on a map. And people can actually even move this map around, zoom in and out. They can see what's around you, and then they can find you very easily. Okay? The other thing, okay, again, continuing that theme of mobile users especially, if you just show your phone number on your website, that's not enough, okay? People have to copy and paste, put it in their phone. It's just too much hassle, okay? So instead, you should have what's called a clickable phone number. So basically, when people click on your phone number on your website, it automatically opens the dialer on their phone. So they just don't have to do anything. It's 2 clicks. They click on the phone and they click on the dial button. So if you actually want people to call you on the phone, make it super easy for them to do that, and that's how you would do that. The next thing is, and that's relevant really for any kind of business, whether they have a physical presence or not, is a contact form, okay? A lot of people put their email address on their website, and that's great, but that's just not enough because, again, what people have to do, they have to copy your email address, go to their Gmail or whatever email software they're using. Too hard, okay? Instead, you should have a contact form, which you can have either as a pop-up, or you can have it on the sidebar, or you can have it in a dedicated page, or you can have it on your home page. I would actually suggest maybe do a combination of these things. And then basically what people do, they just click on that, they enter their details, whatever you request. If you want to call them back, you can also request a phone number, but at the very least, ask for their email, and then they can send you their message. So they don't have, they don't have to do an extra step in order to contact you, which is very, very important. The other thing, and that is something that I believe every website should have, is following on our theme around email databases, or having an email database of contacts and prospects. Most people who come to your website, I think that the figures are between 75 and 90% will actually never come back. And not because you're doing a bad job. It is possible that they haven't found what they want on their website, but it's also as likely to be that they've actually found that information, got whatever they needed, and just moved on with their life. So really, once they're gone, and you have really no way of contacting them again. The only exception to that is if you were able to capture the email address, okay? And in order to capture their email address, again, you need to make it easy and worthwhile for them to do that. So you need to have what's called an opt-in box where you collect their name and email, or just their email, whatever you choose, and any other information that you want. And in return, you give them something valuable, okay? You give them some kind of a free guide or a discount for your business, or, access to special offers, or something to make it worthwhile for them to give you their email address, okay? And once you do that and you made it easier for them, that's when you start building a database of email addresses. And this is very powerful because those people have already expressed interest in your products and services. They visited your website and they were interested and engaged enough to give you their email address. So that's a lot better than that's what's called a warm audience. It's a lot better than trying to get a cold audience through paid ads on Facebook or on Google. So, and obviously you can contact them directly at any time without intermediaries. That's why really the most important thing that you should use your website for is to build your email database. Nothing is more important than this. The other thing is, obviously, if you're active on social media, then you need to let people know about it straight off the bat. So include links to your social media profiles, but you can even take it one step further and not just have the links, but have what's called like a Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter box where you actually show the timeline, your timeline on social media, so people can see straight off the bat the kind of things that you post on your page, on Twitter, or even on YouTube. You can show like your latest videos or stuff like that. So people can know straight away what kind of content they can expect to get if they follow you on social media. And then all of these features also allow them to follow you on social media directly from these boxes without actually having to leave your website. So it's just a one click, and as long as they're logged into their Facebook account or Twitter or any other social media platform, they're able to follow you straight away with just one click. And the last feature and the last thing that is important to have is what's called a call to action. So people need to understand, especially, some small business owners think that, it's very important to have your website pretty and have a lot of like features and bells and whistles on it. That's not what it's about, okay? A website is first and foremost a business tool, okay? And as a business tool, every business owner needs to think, what do they want to achieve from their website, okay? And therefore, once they determine that, they need to build their website around that business goal. And every page on their website needs to have some kind of a call to action, something for people to do when they get on this page. And I would also say it has to have one call of action, not multiple. So on every page on your website, you should have one call to action, which is also very clear and obvious. So be it giving your email address, buying a product, downloading a sales brochure, any of these things, all right? Something for people to do on each page of your website, and something that is very clear, something that is very clear to them as far as like what they need to do there.
In 60 seconds or less, and in conclusion, any closing thoughts, takeaways, or a final tip along the lines of our discussion today?
Sure. So as I mentioned in my last point, a website needs to be first and foremost a business tool. Okay, it's not about making it look pretty and having a lot of features that will bamboozle your users. That's not what it's about. I mean, I always like to give the example of Google. Okay, I mean, I'm sure that everyone will agree that Google probably knows what they're doing when it comes to the internet. And when you go to the Google homepage, and that page hasn't changed really since Google came to be, all right, it's very, very simple. Some people say it would even basic, because Google they know what they want people to do when they come to their homepage. They want them to search. So they make it very obvious what this page is for, and they make it very easy for people to do that. Okay, so people need to remember that a website is a business tool, first and foremost. So they need to think what business goals they want to achieve from their website. And those business goals can be things like generating leads, generating inquiries, be it through phone or email, building an email database, super important for every business, distributing brochures and sales material, or if it's an e-commerce site, then obviously selling products or services or digital downloads, whatever they sell to their website. So once they determine what is the goal of the website, they need to design the website to achieve that business goal, to be effective in achieving this business goal, okay? And not necessarily have a lot of bells and whistles, lots of colors, or, lots of, say, for example, large photos that would cause your website to be slow to load. So I would say, think of your website as a business tool. Think what business outcomes you would like to achieve on that website, and design and structure it accordingly.
Once again, Mr. Ginsberg, thanks for all the expertise and insight here on today's topic en route to helping us build and grow our business through our websites and our social media platforms. How can listeners be in touch with you? Not only that, but also to get more information about MG Web Design and social media.
Yeah. So my main website is just michaelginsburg.info. Okay, that's where really I basically run my online presence from. There's also links there to my Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn profile. But as a service to your listeners, Eric, I've prepared actually a checklist, quite a detailed checklist of the features that every website needs to have in order to be effective in 2016. And I'd like to offer it to your listeners free of charge. Basically, all you need to do is just go to michaelginsburg.info/checklist, and you'll be able to download it from there. Free, no obligation, and it will actually show you with examples, okay, not just tell you what to do, but it will actually show you examples of how I've implemented that with clients in real life. And hopefully they would find it valuable. I'm sure they will.
And I'll certainly be checking that out as well. Mr. Ginsberg, once again, thanks for your time today and for being with us here today on Enterprise Radio, and certainly look forward to our next conversation.
Thanks for having me, Eric. It's been a pleasure.
And the pleasure was certainly ours. We have been speaking with Mr. Michael Ginsberg, owner and lead designer at MG Web Design and Social Media. That acts as a one-stop shop solution for small business owners to optimize their online presence using an effective website and smart use of social media. And for more information, visit michaelginsburg.info. And this is Eric Dye, and you've been listening to Enterprise Radio, a part of EPN, the Entrepreneur Podcast Network. Pick up our iPhone or Android mobile app for your exclusive mobile listening convenience. And once again, we do thank you for tuning in.
Thanks again for listening to Enterprise Radio here on the Entrepreneur Podcast Network. To subscribe for future programming, simply visit epodcastnetwork.com.
This is the ePodcast Network.